Welcome back to another episode of the Caffeinated Librarians. We're all here again. Yay. Woohoo! Everyone's enthusiastic, I see.
We're just containing it.
So for today's episode, we're actually gonna be doing our little St. Patrick's Day special, talking about movies set in Ireland, maybe some Irish movies, a little bit of everything, just whatever we feel like. So who wants to start this discussion? Simona.
All right. So I thought since we are
Hi everyone, this is Simona.
She's throwing gold coins at you, I think.
Aggressive.
Leprechauns aren't nice people.
As we all learned from the acclaimed film series,
It
Leprechaun.
rolled that
Yes.
way.
yes.
Leprechaun in the Hood, Oscar worthy.
No.
I gotta disagree, but Leprechaun Back to the Hood.
Back to the Hood.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Since we're discussing St. Patrick's Day, I just wanted to give some brief bullet points. So it's celebrated in Ireland March 17th, and it marks his death anniversary. Irish have been observing this holiday for over 1,000 years.
And they don't remember any of it.
Starting off classy.
Traditionally, it would occur during Lent. And who was St. Patrick? So he was born in Roman Britain, kidnapped at the age of 16 and sent to Ireland. Don't throw anything, Amanda. He escaped, but later returned, and he is credited with bringing Christianity to Ireland. We're not going to discuss how he brought it. There's some debate about that, whether he used the sword or he was gentle. But
It wasn't gentle.
It wasn't gentle.
There was no good spread of Christianity throughout the world,
No.
in the history of the world.
No.
We can talk about that a different day.
Yeah.
I don't want people getting
Could
mad.
be part of the history podcast.
It could be part of the history podcast.
Yeah. So the first
Yes,
St.
yes,
Patrick's
yes.
Day parade, which I found really interesting, it took place March 17th, 1601 in the Spanish colony in what is now St. Augustine, Florida. And then the second one, which sort of brought the parade to sort of our area in the States, was Irish soldiers who were serving in the English military who were homesick, organized a parade on March 17th, 1772 in New York City. And then it sort of took off from there and it became popular, and then, Boston had their parade. So so that was a little bit of history.
I was in
Everything's
Boston
expensive.
one year for St. Patrick's Day, but I didn't realize, we planned it because it was my friend's birthday is the 17th. So not the 17th, the 15th. So we went up there for the weekend. And
Is that a
Boy.
smart idea?
no, it was not smart. I mean, it was fun. It was great. It was a fun time. Hey, it's good luck. But
Pretty tasty.
yeah, it was
Chocolate.
Boston knows how to do St. Patrick's Day.
Well, St. Patrick's Day
Come
is
on.
also affectionately known as amateur night, because it's just where all the frat boys go out and party. It's not really about anything particularly important to Ireland. All the Irish people, proper Irish people I know, can't stand that weekend, or at least can't stand that weekend here.
Yeah.
What? St.
Yeah,
Patrick's
my mom
Day?
is not a fan.
Well, in Mayapack, we actually have a bar crawl that
Guys have a
happens
bar
every
crawl
year.
in Mayapack?
There's a bar crawl in
Wow.
Mayapack that I forget where it
didn't know
starts.
there
I
were
know a couple
bars you
of
could
them.
crawl to.
The thing is with the bar
From
crawls,
the
you
Mayapack Inn all the way to Red Mills.
have to be able to walk.
That way.
And there's no parade of people walking along Route 6 to get to the next bar. It's actually bar crawl. You need to be walking.
Yeah, a lot of people
Can't be
take the
driving.
trail.
No.
Yeah.
Then it defeats the purpose.
Couldn't we modify
We gotta
the
sober up
definition
and then
of
go
bar
to the
crawling
next
to
place.
include
And
driving?
sober up and
But,
go to the
like-
next place.
Is it a true bar crawl if there's one poor designated driver?
No.
No, I'm
No,
just
you have to walk.
trying to.
That's when you bring your redhead friends out.
I do
Because
want
they'll
to
be
do
the DD.
that pub crawl. This is English in the World's End, Newton Haven, a fake town that they made up for that Edgar Wright film. Get to do the
I
Golden
still
Mile.
haven't seen The World's End, but I
It's
need to.
hysterical.
Yeah.
You need to.
And weirdly sad and affecting.
Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard from some people that it's the best of the Cornettos. So.
You heard that from me.
Yeah,
We talked
probably.
about this about 2 months ago on this podcast.
From him.
Okay, so we're getting a little off topic.
No.
No,
It's a bar movie.
Everything's
Bar
Irish.
movie.
All Irish. Right?
Okay.
So yeah.
Do we want to talk about the movies, or do I want to say what I think about St. Patrick?
Hit it. We got one
Hey,
argument.
Katie, you know what I was wondering before you
Yes.
get into that?
Okay.
I was wondering what you think about St. Patrick.
I
Yes.
think that him being an
Remember, he is a patron saint.
I don't
That
care.
doesn't mean anything.
I don't.
They're all
So
good people.
I was gonna say Judas, but he wasn't.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Unless you're one of the weird medieval Judas cults.
It's just I'm just saying that for a lot of people, he's important. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
FYI.
Well, I'm also
A
gonna
lot of
say,
people love Vladimir
What's
Putin
he the
in
saint
Russia.
of?
Yeah.
What's he the saint of?
Okay, so
We should probably edit that
I'm
out, I'm
just,
sorry.
this is all I'm going to say about St. Patrick is that he was also of the noble class in England, so it wasn't like he was of the peasantry class or the serf class of England. When he escaped from Ireland, he could have gone back to his life. It could have been good. He didn't have
Why was
to
he trying
do
to
anything.
escape?
Because he was a slave
Oh.
in Ireland, like Simona had said. But no, he decided to do away with his worldly goods, give up his wealth, his title, what have you, became a member of the church, and once he became a member of the church, he went to Ireland and forcibly converted the pagans of Ireland.
The snakes.
Yep. And thus they did away with the speaking of Gaelic or Gaelic. They the culture was, it's part of their culture, and once the language goes, most of the rest of their culture goes with them. And the Druids were outlawed, and for me personally, after learning about the history of Ireland in school for my master's, I find that the St. Patrick going to Ireland to do conversions is the first colonialization of Ireland before the Ulster plantation started to being cultivated from England in Northern Ireland. But that's my opinion. And that's my thank you. Okay, and that's my 2 cents worth of that.
Well, since you mentioned Gaelic, I wanted to find out what's the status in the Republic of Ireland. Thank you. So, officially, the Republic of Ireland, because Northern Ireland, they don't really speak Gaelic. It's not one of the official languages. The official languages are English and Irish Gaelic. 30% of the population speak Irish Gaelic. 5% use it regularly at home. And interestingly enough, the landscape in terms of also languages in general is changing because a lot of immigration to the Republic of Ireland. There's now the languages are growing. And there was something else that I thought was pretty interesting too, and now I really can't remember. But there has been this revival to start speaking it again, which I think is really nice because when the English took over, one of the things that they tried to do was essentially eradicate the Irish language. Which is something similar that happened in Sicily, because I'm of Sicilian heritage. And Sicily, we've been colonized since the get-go. I don't think there's ever been a period of time where we were never colonized. And our native language is Sicilian. And my parents, who grew up primarily speaking Sicilian, they didn't learn Italian until they went to school. They were not even allowed to speak it in school. If my mom was caught speaking it, she was told she had to speak standard Italian, the same thing for my dad. But thankfully it hasn't died out. People still speak Sicilian. So I'm glad that Irish Gaelic is still being spoken. Same thing with Scottish Gaelic, as Katie told me.
Yes.
Gaelic is being spoken. And likewise in Wales, there's this revival. Welsh is one of the official languages as well. So it's nice that in spite of the history of colonization, it still is being spoken. So.
My horrible dumb American take is that Welsh, wild language.
No, it is. Have you heard they have one of the towns with the
Yeah.
longest name?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I watched there's a YouTube video of the newscaster.
Yes.
Pronouncing it perfectly.
And and you can see how proud he is too. It's oh, that's amazing. But there's another town I think in New Zealand that outdid them. And there was a a native New Zealander
competition brewing.
who was reading out the name. It's, I think, literally like 4 lines long, and I was
Wow.
like, that is epic.
Wow.
So yeah.
It's a whole sentence.
Oh, and since like you were talking about leprechauns, I found this really cool Irish.
You know, I didn't think these were going to be so heavy when I got them.
You knew,
It's such a
Amanda.
clatter. Also, they've got JFK on them, so a little more Irish.
Look, they're gold. What do you want from
I didn't
me?
Oh, I have Washington.
Not real Irish.
Oh, you
You-
Washington?
I have Washington.
Whoa!
I'm just
you got
giving
a
you the-
quarter.
Yeah.
Oh boy, you got a dollar coin for like 50 cents.
And I saw this cool thing. It's called "May the Leprechauns Dance Over Your Bed and Bring You Sweet Dreams." The thing that's funny is that leprechauns
Are a menace to society.
in Irish mythology are not known for being good. So I was really, if there are any Irish people listening to this podcast, let us know. We're like, because leprechauns traditionally aren't good. They're like devious, conniving.
like
they're
little
manipulative.
tricksters.
So I wonder
Oh,
why
that
them
is-
dancing over your bed would bring you sweet dreams.
It wouldn't.
Just,
I
I'm
mean,
like,
no.
Terrified by
just
what
really-
was happening
I
there.
had a teacher
Bunch of
growing
leprechauns
up.
dancing.
I had a teacher that, and it's actually funny, I want to recreate it someday, but she would like, for St. Patrick's Day, the day before, she would cut out clothes, and she would scatter them in like the classroom, so you'd find like little pieces of clothing, like they had been there. And for some
Cool.
reason, now as an adult, I think I'm like, are the leprechauns streaking in the class? What's going on? Why are they leaving so much clothes in here? A little devious, that's what they are.
You ever see the Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode
I love it so
where he kidnaps
Oh my
the
god.
guy?
Have you
He
seen the
is a
new
leprechaun.
season?
No, I haven't seen. I
They go
haven't.
to Ireland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
Oh,
seen
boy.
many of the new seasons.
Oh.
I'd say I probably stopped around 8, but not just because it
It's
was so sporadically released.
It's true.
But
I need to catch up, but like I think the last one I probably watched was like 13, and it was still pretty killer.
Yeah.
It's still got good stuff.
Did you know that around this area, in terms of like old Celtic druids, we have this little local legend about all our stone chambers
What?
that are in the area.
Oh, I
And
didn't
they
know.
are-
Please tell. Please tell.
They're
didn't
all
know there
over
were
like
stone chambers.
I'll find them.
like Putnam County, I think. up
Yeah,
into
they're all like
Rockland.
old root cellars.
Yeah, so that's likely what they are. They're probably just
Yeah.
root cellars. But the people who go there are like, no, it doesn't have the floor of a root cellar. If this was a root cellar, all your things would go bad in the root cellar. This is the portal. If you come here at the right time, they're all facing the sun at this. I'm butchering
Right.
the explanations here, but they're all over the place. They do look like traditional root cellars. So where I am in North Salem, there's a handful that are, they're kind of gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I walk inside, and some people say they really feel something when they walk inside. It's just kind of cold, but I don't know. It's a cool little thing to
I'm
check
gonna
out.
go.
I think old places always just have a certain power to them too,
Yeah.
So I get that.
I'm going.
There
I'm
was-
gonna go into
There was a
somebody's
gentleman who
yard.
wrote a book about them because he wants them preserved.
Yeah, and they're being preserved. And we also have the Balanced Rock in North Salem, which is, the argument is that it's like this rock that doesn't belong in our area, geologically speaking, and it has mystical powers, and it's.
Oh wow.
They did a thing on Ancient Aliens where apparently the aliens in their spaceship basically use it as a mile marker, but most likely it's just from a glacier way back in the day.
But it could
Ancient
be
aliens.
aliens. I mean,
No.
I'm not gonna
No.
root
An
out
episode there.
the use of a supernatural entity.
but why?
I want it to be
But
real.
why not? I think the idea, our galaxy is barely even explored. There are so many other galaxies. Why can't there be aliens out there?
Okay, let
Certainly.
me just say this because Ancient Aliens ticks me off every time I see it on
It's
the
so
TV.
bad.
It is not a good show.
It is not.
But is it entertaining? Yes.
To suggest that the pyramids or that the ancient stone circles in Ireland or in Scotland was made by aliens just takes away the engineering
The
Ingenuity.
ingenuity and
Ingenuity.
slavery that it took to make those.
Right, exactly. Slavery. Well, maybe in Egypt, but it
I am,
it just takes away from the engineering ingenuity of the ancient
But
peoples
what,
of
what
the
if they
world.
were just given a leg up?
No.
Like say
No, no.
What if there was just one chill alien coming down and say,
No.
hey guys, I think you should build like a triangle.
There's no,
Hey guys.
there's nothing
Hey
wrong.
guys.
There's nothing
Triangles.
wrong with aliens
3D.
being in some far-flung part of the world of the galaxy, but the ancient peoples were a lot smarter than people like to give them credit
Oh,
for,
yeah.
and to suggest that
I saw
aliens had a
Prometheus.
hand in making these monuments is stupid.
Lou, back me up. You think it's a possibility?
It definitely could have happened.
Me,
100%.
Yeah.
me,
That
I'm
was
somehow
hesitant because he's sitting right next to
anti-alien,
me.
pro-ghost, so that's my stance.
I'm up for
So you think ghosts help build the pyramids? That would
I'm
be
not
awesome.
saying ghosts.
Can you
were involved
imagine
in the
that?
pyramids,
But the
but
ghosts
I'm
definitely
100%.
haunt the pyramid.
I do believe that the ancient people
Start.
were very industrious and were good at that kind of stuff. I also think that they were probably led by an alien
So Stargate.
because
Do you just want me to boil over into a
So
history
Stargate.
tirade?
I think
So you
that's-
just want Stargate.
So
exactly. I
you
what,
believe-
just want these
That's-
sentient
that's-
Stargate is
Egyptian-like
factual.
what kind
beings.
of alien are we thinking of here? Are we
So
thinking
clearly
like
the go
little
all-
gray guys, or are we thinking like incomprehensible beings?
Oh
Well-
my god.
Well,
Wow.
I'll just drop it. But
No, I want to hear. I want to know.
I kind
Yeah,
of
what
like.
kind of aliens?
No, well, when you.
Are we
Well,
talking Mars attacks or?
Stereotypical,
I like
like
the
those
gray
like
guys.
groovy,
Yeah.
like hippie poster
Yeah.
aliens, or are we talking about the?
I
Like,
have no idea. I just kind of, because like I like the idea. One thing that it has always I know this is going kind of off topic, so I'll try to be brief.
They could have been Irish aliens.
Oh, we'll go with that. So
That's
say
how
it-
Gaelic started.
Say
There
it's
it is.
Irish alien. Okay,
We
so
figured it all out.
this is how we're connecting it. Because like there's a lot of similarity cross-cultural. Like when you think about it, like think about the Epic of Gilgamesh with its flood story.
Thank you.
Think about the biblical flood story. There are similarities, and then there are, of course, are differences. Across cultures, what I always find extremely fascinating is although there's difference of culture, there's a lot of things that tie us all together, like themes that are so universal. And you really wonder, though, I'm not saying aliens brought all these things, I'm just saying I don't know. Like, I know obviously they're challenging the traditional historical kind of narrative. Did aliens come down and help build the pyramids? Who the heck knows?
How do we explain
I'm
crop
restraining
circles?
myself so
And
hard right
Stonehenge.
now.
No, but I'm not saying. Okay,
This
all
is
I'm-
not the place for restraint. Speak.
I am done.
More gold for Ben.
I'm just
You
saying.
know, things like
It's an interesting theory. I'm not saying it happened. I said
That happened.
thank you.
there are things like trade.
Well, that's like 30
Like,
years of bad luck.
The
Way to
Silk
go.
Road.
Hold on,
like,
Katie's speaking.
Sorry.
Did you say what?
She said trade and the slow, and I understand
Oh
that
my
there
gosh.
definitely was trade between cultures.
The talking and you know, people pick up other things from other cultures and use it in their own cultures, like the ancient Romans using the Greek gods as their own. So I'm gonna stop before I.
No, but what about some cultures that had limited, like yes, obviously there were cultures that traded with other cultures. That goes without saying. But what about similarities between cultures where at the time there probably were no, like they weren't phoning each other and saying, by the way, that's what I'm saying. It just makes it very interesting. I'm not saying that aliens brought the similarities. I'm just talking about, I always find it fascinating how in spite of our differences, there are things that unite us and connect us.
Was Osiris the dad or the kid? Osiris.
Oh,
the
I
father.
forget Egyptian mythology.
He was the father.
He's
But
the
it's-
okay.
father of the and god of the underworld.
So, but that story, Osiris and whoever Osiris' dad or son is like
Horus, I think.
Horus and Osiris is like the same exact story as God and Jesus.
Yeah, because like
Like,
Isis
there's
had
always a
virgin
creation
birth.
story.
Thousands of years.
I would like to point out, though, too, that that Egypt was a colony of ancient Rome, and Christianity evolved from that area of the world. So, and the Bible is a book that has many different stories written into it. There's nothing to suggest that they didn't take the stories of ancient Greek, ancient Egyptian mythology and create the story of.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that
Yeah.
that is what.
Yeah.
Happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like the same. They just took one story
Yeah.
Yep.
and altered it along the way to make it more palatable for,
Yes.
A nude.
yeah.
I think Osiris wasn't he also crucified in one story?
I don't know enough.
He was
of
murdered by
ancient
his
Egypt to
brother,
actually
Set,
say.
and
Yeah.
chopped into pieces and scattered about
Yeah,
the desert.
I always find that interesting. Like, and even
then he
when
came back.
Christians in Rome, like the first pagans that were converted, like there's this burial chamber, and it's a burial chamber of a Christian, but on the ceiling there's like Bacchus and grapevine motifs. And they were saying how they used Bacchus and turned him into like a Christ-like figure to basically.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely, like, this thing has happened. I know we went so far off topic, and I opened up
This
a
is
can
what
of
St.
worms by
Patrick's Day is
talking about
about.
ancient aliens, which I didn't mean to. It was just.
Wasn't Bacchus like the party god?
Yeah.
He was the
I
Saturn
think
alien.
that's
He was
a
like
fun
the best
transition.
character in
That-
the Magicians.
And
Oh, he was
Bacchus
great.
is Roman, Dionysus is Greek.
He was the sexy god.
Yes.
Okay.
He was the one that
Already.
everyone wanted to be. He was wine, orgies, partying.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Sounds like fun.
what are our opinions on corned beef?
Pro
Uh,
corned beef.
Corned beef.
Very pro.
For me, corned beef is a tradition of Irish Americans, not of Ireland. So
Look here, Katie.
Do you like
St.
it or
Patrick's
I
Day
don't like
is
corned
a.
beef.
I'm an Irish American. I enjoy it.
I am also
St.
an
Patrick's Day
Irish
shouldn't be about drinking, but Americans want an excuse to drink on one particular day
Yes.
out of the year instead
I
of
agree. Yes.
just doing it.
Yeah.
I'm an Italian American and I like.
I like corned beef.
Yeah, I like corned beef.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Throw it
not,
on some rye bread with some mustard.
Ooh,
It's
ooh,
good
that is
stuff.
awesome.
I'm not a fan of corned beef. I can take it or leave it.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on who's making it and how it's made.
But I'm
and
wondering,
so-
is it because it's sort of like with Italian Americans? There are a lot of foods that we eat here which people think are Italian, but they're actually just Italian.
like pizza?
Corn.
No, pizza is Italian.
Yeah.
It's Italian.
It's a different kind of pizza over there, but
That's
it is
what I
Italian.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's Italian. Like for spaghetti and meatballs, that is strictly
So,
Italian American.
if I'm understanding the question you're asking, Simona, are you asking if corned beef is a traditional like Irish?
Like if it has some origin in what
Does it have a
might have
root?
been a traditional, like, but it was
Right.
modified for like American palate
beef?
sensibilities.
So
or,
no, corned beef is an Americanized because in Ireland what they would do is that they would actually just hide. Now I heard this story many years ago. I cannot verify if it's true or not. But in Ireland, when they were under the control of Great Britain, they would actually use the boiled cabbage or steamed cabbage, however you would eat it, and they would put that over the bacon that they had because to hide it from the English soldiers in order for the English soldiers not to take their meat from
Meat's
them.
expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So how do we feel
So-
about the potato famine?
What?
How do we feel about the potato
I'm
famine?
feeling a strong thumbs down on that one.
Yeah, that
You don't
one.
like potatoes?
Okay.
So in
The
fairness,
potato
though,
Who
famine.
doesn't like the
Oh,
potato
okay.
famine?
Famine.
I
Let's
thought
talk
you
about
said
the
the
famine.
potato thing. I
in
was like, who
fairness
doesn't like
to the
potatoes?
English about the potato famine, they starved their own people just as aggressively as they starved the Irish.
Yeah, well, that was a whole thing,
Yeah.
but like,
It's not
because they saw of the time they saw though Ireland, Irish, and to some extent Scottish people as well, since we're talking about colonialization, they saw them as second-class citizens. So it was much worse for the people of Ireland because that's the crop that they mostly relied very heavily on.
They're so good.
They
I
are
love
good.
potatoes.
I
Yeah.
love potatoes.
What is it? What is it that Sam says in Lord of the Rings? It's like, you can fry them.
Potatoes.
Boil 'em,
Boil them,
stick
fry
'em
them,
in a
toss-
stew.
Yeah, exactly. You can
Nice
do anything with a
golden
potato. You got gnocchi or gnocchi. I don't know.
Gnocchi,
What do you want from
Oh,
me?
that's good.
My southern self looks at the word and I'm like, sure.
I can't believe that. They're pulling some nonsense with that one.
It's gnocchi.
Gnocchi.
Because the G and the N
Yeah.
is in yes. Yes.
Yeah, but like, if you
No,
don't
no,
know
I
Italian, it's-
I definitely understand. Listen, being Italian, my own last name trips me up because we decided to just have a ton of
All your
vowels and
names
everything.
trip me up.
I'm Italian and from the Bronx in my family, so
From the
we
Bronx, too.
pronounce all the mangled words. We don't say prosciutto, we say prosciutto. We don't say capicola, we say gabagool.
Well,
Oh, gabagool.
are you Napolitan?
Yes, yeah.
Although to be
Naples.
fair to Neapolitans,
My brother from
because the
generation.
Neapolitan language is gorgeous. Now, what
But
Americans
it's very different than.
Yeah, but what
It's
Americans
normal
did,
Italian.
but Americans, what they did to the Neapolitan, they just screwed it up even more. So to be fair to Naples, your language is gorgeous. What
Joe,
Americans did to
My
it.
ancestors are also from Naples.
Hey.
Yay!
But-
Southern Italians unite.
But my family's from Queens.
So I know that Naples has a reputation of being like the scary mafia city, but I gotta say,
it's poor.
it was the
It
most
was-
beautiful of all
I'd
the
love to
Italian
go
cities
there.
I've ever
it,
been
it
to.
seems like a great time.
It's beautiful.
There's a great Rossellini movie about like this terrible English couple that goes to Naples and their minds are just totally blown.
I had a customer when I worked in retail for a little while who came from Naples, and he talked about, he was like, the countries are pretty, but unfortunately the place itself is not great for its people. So he left because he had no choice.
Yeah.
So
A lot of poverty.
it's crazy. Well,
Poverty.
he talked about how his friends, he's like, either my friends are either dead or they're, in
Yeah, the
prison.
Camorra is pretty hardcore there still, I think.
Yeah.
So, what are you gonna do? Mafias.
What do you
Love it.
Speaking of mafias, Irish mafia.
Boondock Saints.
As a
Great
young
war
child,
classic.
I had this fascination with mafias. I really liked the whole, like, I love the movies, except I'm one of those people who just, I've tried watching The Godfather like 10 different times, and I'm really struggling. But, like, I'm struggling. But
I'm having that same struggle with the new West Side Story. I can't get through 5 minutes of that movie without urge to turn it
Oh
off.
man.
Ooh.
I saw it was
like,
up and I should watch
Yeah,
it.
I'm a jet. What are you, Tony? And it's just like, I can't do this shit. It's just, it's too dated that, like, even though it's gorgeous and, like, as far as filmmaking goes,
It's
I can
weird
see
watching
what
it.
an accomplishment it is. It's
Wait,
so
is
obnoxious
this the
to
new?
the new. Yeah.
I've not checked it out
Then
yet.
why do you hurt me so?
We're just
Why?
hurting you today.
I'm sorry. I just hate it. But I'm gonna keep going. I go like 5 minutes at a time to get through it. But it's
Sometimes you just
but
gotta
you see, it's
power
based
it.
on the actual Broadway play in 1957, not the 1961.
I'm gonna need those explanations to help push me through this.
You need the
Okay.
commentary
Like,
on
give
And
it
there-
the excuse it needs to not grind my teeth.
And all of the actors and actresses in that movie are all from theater,
Yeah.
so it's much better.
And think of it as that it's the merging of two cultures. It's the overcoming of hate and difference.
yes.
I mean-
Katie,
Juliet.
work with me. It's the overcoming
Yeah.
of hate and difference. Think of it that way. It
Romeo
is-
and Juliet.
Yeah.
It's Romeo and Juliet,
but it's not Romeo and Juliet.
but it's not Romeo and Juliet. And think
It's
of it
Romeo
that
and
Maria
way.
doesn't
Juliet on the
die at
west
the
side.
end of the movie.
Spoilers. Never seen.
I think it's
Spoiler.
I guess that counts as like an Irish movie, right?
Anyways, what I was making a point about the
They're
mafia.
The Irish and the Puerto Ricans, right?
I thought
No,
they
it's
were
Italians.
Polish.
it's
No, they're Polish.
it's a
Wait, the
mixture.
Jets are
Hold
Polish? I
on,
thought they were
What
Italian.
movie
What's
are we
going
talking
on?
about?
we're talking about West Side Story. The
I know,
Jets,
it was a joke.
the Jets are a mixture of
Who are these people?
Polish Americans, Irish Americans, Italian Americans,
They're just a hodgepodge.
anyone living in the West Side.
Oh,
that.
for
Of
some
19
reason I thought they were strictly Polish.
Well, Tony is of Polish descent, but everyone else is a mixture.
Oh, so you see, so I don't understand that. Considering that their group is a mix of all those cultures, how can they hate on another thing?
It's very easy.
Because it's
No, I know it's easy. I'm being rhetorical. I was waiting for everyone to.
White people.
It's-
Yeah, I like my town. I don't like your town. There,
Yeah.
done.
So
I'll
Ben,
keep going.
you really need to give it a shot, please.
Is it on Disney Plus yet?
Yes.
It is on
Yeah,
Disney Plus.
and
I think I'm gonna
HBO
give it a
Max.
shot.
Yep.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
I have both.
Drive My Car is also on
What I was
HBO
trying to
Yeah.
get at
Is
was
it
the
really?
Irish
Yeah.
mafia
Oh,
thing.
cool.
Amanda
I still
was
haven't
going
watched
with-
it from that.
Amanda has her Irish mob thing. Go, Amanda.
As I was saying about the mafia thing, I was when I found out as a child that there was an Irish mafia, I think I learned it through a movie, and I don't know which one. I know which one, but I'm not going to say it out loud
No, go ahead,
because
say it.
it'll.
The Departed?
No.
Yeah, why wouldn't
I
you
didn't
say
watch the movie.
Movie.
Yeah, what movie?
Charlie's Angel.
Oh, what's wrong with that?
I don't know. I feel embarrassed saying it.
Bill
It's
Murray's
okay.
in it. He never
Yeah.
makes a bad
He's
decision.
in
Anyways,
one of
there was that, and I
He
told
was in
myself.
Garfield.
Yeah.
I told my mom, I was like, there's an Irish mafia, and she's like, yeah. And I was just like, oh, I want to marry into that, and then we'll all be Irish, and we'll be like super cool. As an adult now, I've looked at that and been like,
you were a much different child, weren't you?
I craved violence. I was just, I thought it was cool because they always portray them as like redheads. And so, as a redhead myself, I was like, oh, and we'll have like a redheaded babies, and we'll awesome.
Have you seen the episode in Peaky Blinders when the Irish mob meets the Sicilian?
I haven't seen that show. I keep meaning to.
Yes.
Now, granted, Adrian Brody, who I think he can pass as a Sicilian, and there are genuine Sicilian.
Adrian Brody's in that show.
Yeah, you didn't know that he's like all the
season 4.
posters.
Every time I find out something.
It's not Adrian Brody.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
He's in
No, it's Cillian.
Cillian Murphy's the main character, but
Adrian
Adrian Brody
Murphy.
was in season 4.
And
They
it's
look
funny
alike.
because they speak Sicilian in the show. They speak Sicilian in the show. But, and I asked my mom, how's Adrian Brody's Sicilian? Because Sicilian is not an easy language to speak. And she was like, I barely understand anything that he's saying. And
You can't understand what he's saying in English.
True.
Because of the way he's speaking.
Yeah, because and also he has the toothpick in his mouth, but it's so cool because the two mobs, it's like it's your dream. They're coming together, and they have this conversation.
I still read a lot of like mafia stories. I'm not gonna lie. It's the family.
Well,
And violence.
Furious.
Except I can't get into Fast and Furious. I've tried. I can't do.
I've only seen the first film. I've never seen the other ones.
Well, there's only 8 more.
Come on.
When you sent the email saying you saw Fast 9,
could
you
you
were like
really
trying not to
count
hate
Tokyo
it. a little
Drift?
bit.
I love Tokyo Drift.
Tokyo Drift rocks.
Yeah.
Tokyo Drift doesn't have any of the original characters from the first.
That's what made it
Yeah.
good.
Not until the very end.
Yeah. But those other guys do show up throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Little Bow Wow.
Oh God, you're sending me back to like middle school.
Bow Wow wow.
I love how he
Yippee-yay,
got
yippee-yay.
well off topic about wanting to listen.
Joe's the editor. He's just gonna cut it. We're gonna be like.
So, we're about
So why don't we
halfway
get
through
back on
podcast
track to
now.
like actually like St. Patrick's Day, like
so,
Irish?
I can start naming my favorite
Let's
movies.
talk about
Yes.
movies. Let's talk about
Okay,
movies.
so my favorite Irish-based movie is The Secret of Roninish, that was made in 1994.
Classic.
Have you seen it before?
No.
So the movie is essentially about this girl who's lost her mother. Her name is Fiona, and she goes and lives with.
Eurotrip?
Stop!
Oh,
You're killing
I'm
her.
and so she goes to live with her grandparents off the mainland of Ireland, and her family has essentially been broken up because they lost her little brother during the move from Roninish onto the mainland. It's been very long since I've seen the movie, so in a nutshell, she goes to this island, Roninish, and she sees her younger brother who's been living among the seals who inhabit the island, and by the end of the movie, her brother and her are reunited within the whole family as a whole. And there's a story of a Selkie.
I was
and-
literally just, I was like, Selkies.
yeah, and it's a really great movie. I love that movie a lot.
When you say living among seals, do you mean like the animals?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So like kind of like Tarzan, just
kind of.
Well,
but
that's where the legend she was talking about, the Selkies, comes in. Selkies
Oh, yeah.
are kind of like Celtic
Celtic-
mermaids,
Yeah.
where
Works
instead
out.
of being a fish, they were seals. And there's
Yeah.
actually a famous myth about like a woman. They're usually like women
They are
who
women,
come on
yeah.
this land and they take off their seal pelts.
And
And
if
they're in a human form, but there's the story of a young man who sees them,
Yeah.
sees one, takes her pelt and traps her, and she's like, oh no, what's going on? She can't go back with her sisters into the sea, and he basically forces her, like, basically is like, oh, I'll take care of you, and she's like, oh, how nice, and she ends up having like a kid with him.
Well,
only
they
to discover
marry.
that they marry.
They do
yeah.
marry, and she makes a family, and then in the story,
I think
in
she finds the pelt.
The Secret
and she
of
finds, yeah.
Roninish, one of her daughters asks her why does father keep a hidden seal pelt in the roof of their home, and hands the newest baby to the oldest daughter, and she goes and takes the pelt and then returns to the sea and is never heard from again. Yeah. So there's a lot of like connection to the myth of the Selkie in the movie, and it's such a beautifully done movie. I love it so much. Been
There's
watching
also
it.
the movie Song of the Sea, which is this animated film,
Which
which
is-
also deals with Selkies as well, and it's beautiful if you haven't
such a
seen
great
it.
The
movie.
people who made that have 3 films that deal with Celtic mythology. There's
Yeah.
the Book
Yeah.
of Kells,
Which-
the
That's
Secret of
also
Kells,
really nice.
there's Song of the Sea, and then there's a new one called The
Wolfwalkers.
Wolfwalkers, and they do
Yeah,
such
it's
a
all-
fantastic job.
Which is
of
on
Tom
Apple
Moore.
TV Plus, and I can't watch it because I don't have it, and I'm
I
not
think
paying.
we have the other 2. I don't see
Yeah,
why
I've
we
seen
don't
the other
have
two.
them.
Yeah.
Lewis, get on
Okay.
that.
Okay, should I?
Wolfwalkers is the one to order?
Yeah.
It's only on Apple TV. You
Oh,
can't.
there's no
you can-
DVD
you can get
version.
Blu-ray.
You can. They have a collection set too, all
Ooh,
3 of them.
nice.
That's cool. Should I keep going with my
Yes,
list?
yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. My second favorite is In the Name of the Father, 1993, with Daniel
Jim
Day-Lewis.
Sheridan film. You just took one from my list. That's all right. I got a replacement.
Sorry.
That's all right. I appreciate that.
And it's based on a true story, which I like. And it's been a long time since I've seen the movie. So Ben, if you would like to describe what the movie is about, because I remember, but I don't remember.
Do you remember who Dan Lewis was playing? The name of him?
Jerry.
Jerry Conlon.
Jerry
That's it.
Conlon.
So he gets he's like a petty thief, troublemaking kid in Dublin during the Troubles, and basically gets
Yeah.
sent away by his family to England to go make a life for himself. Does some petty crime in some like
Hippie
someone's
area.
apartment.
Yeah.
Comes back, gets basically framed for a bomb that went off in London.
In a pub that was set
that's
off
how the movie
by.
opens, and it's like
Yeah.
absolutely breathtaking. Just
Yeah.
it's got like this
And we
It's-
should say that it's based during the conflict with the English
The
and
Troubles,
the IRA. Yeah.
So it's Gavin Friday and Bono, and they do all
Yes.
the music for that movie and The Boxer.
Yeah.
And it's just the opening minute and a half of this movie, like you're not turning away no matter how slow it gets at some
Yeah.
points, and
Emma
even when
Thomas
it's slow.
is great in that movie too.
Emma Thompson,
Emma Thompson.
yeah,
Did I say
and the
Thomas?
great Pete Postlethwaite, rest in
Yeah.
peace, my friend.
Yeah.
Played Jerry's father. It's an incredible.
It's intense for
Prison
sure,
movie.
but it's incredible to watch. Absolutely.
Can't go wrong with Daniel Day-Lewis, too.
No.
I saw 9.
Oh, I don't know if I've ever seen that. I
Yeah,
don't know if
that's
I've ever heard
the musical 8.5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
He was in a musical? I didn't know that.
He was good in it.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. So my next movie is The Quiet Man, 1952.
John.
That was my favorite bar in Peekskill until they closed.
I loved that place,
They
yeah.
had such good food. I miss you. Come back, please.
With it's the only what's his name?
John Wayne or John Ford?
John Wayne. It's the only John Wayne movie I actually like watching. And it's essentially he's the quiet man. He was a boxer in I think New York. Again, it's been a very long time since I've seen this movie. But he leaves boxing and leaves kind of like America behind because I think the last person he had boxed had died. And he ends up marrying this Irish woman. I can't for the life of me.
Maureen O'Hara.
Maureen O'Hara. Thank you, Joe.
Gangster.
I haven't seen it, but I know enough about John Ford.
Or John Wayne.
John Ford is the director.
Oh, okay. And
Joe's like our Siri.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Two computers and Joe
And
still
it's just
got me.
about them being married and trying to like navigate life from American what am I trying to say? From like not culture but like home life and Irish home life and how different they are and yet also how similar they are, and it's just a great movie. I think it's a great movie. And I want to see Belfast, which recently came out. Brooklyn is a great movie. 2015.
Oh,
Sacha
it's-
Ronan.
Shorsha's in that, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that was the first movie I saw her in.
Nice.
Saoirse.
Saoirse.
Saoirse like
I knew I wasn't
inertia.
gonna
Who
say
plays
that
the
again.
guy in that? Because he was very
What's the
charming in
movie?
that too. Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Don't remember.
Oh, that Italian dude who like I
Yeah.
think quietly sees himself as a really
Emery
muscular
Cohen?
guy, but like
I
just
think so.
can't pull it off.
Quietly sees himself.
He
as a
plays the
muscular-
character
He's always
named
like
Tony?
in a tank top and
Yes.
all this
Okay.
shit. He's always like doing pull-ups and
Yeah.
things and like buffed out like that, but he's just kind of like a normal marshmallowy guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
He looks like
It's a great movie though.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Brooklyn.
Yeah, I like Brooklyn too.
Brooklyn was fun. And
She picked the wrong guy though. She should have stayed in Ireland with
no,
oh, what do I know?
Ooh, fight.
Nah,
He looks like a little marshmallow.
Listen, there's two movies where they picked the wrong guy, right? It's Brooklyn because she should have stayed with Donald Gleason in Ireland, or it's The Notebook where she should have stayed with.
well, I don't like
Cyclops.
I don't like the Notebook.
I respectfully disagree with the second one.
I
But
think
in
I disagree
Brooklyn-
with the first one.
Yeah, I
think-
disagree.
I haven't
because the
seen
whole
Notebook in
point,
ages,
but like the
so
whole
I
point
have
of
no
her
opinion.
leaving Ireland was to find a better life in Brooklyn, and she found that. And for her to stay in Ireland is like going backwards for reasons
So
that's
much
not
chocolate.
even her choice or her decision. It's like her mother wants her to stay because her mother doesn't want to be lonely. Well, that's
She could have brought Donald Gleason to New York.
but she was already
sometimes you
married.
Don't want to do
She
that.
could have been with both of them. All right, this is the 21st century. We're a progressive culture.
Stop talking down the funny Italian guy. He's
Yeah.
like, hey, I don't read so good, but
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I love that movie, and I like both of them.
And then my last on my list is The Secret of Kells. I think it's a beautifully animated movie, and it's so immersed in Irish mythology. Yeah.
And good God, the last 5 minutes of that movie is like some of the most beautiful animation that's ever existed in the history of animation.
No, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I wish I could see Wolf Walkers, but I don't want to spend money on
I got you.
Apple Plus.
There's this segment in Secret of Kells where it's right, after the siege of Kells,
Yeah.
and like the door shuts on the tower, and then Brendan and who's the wisdom
I
guy?
don't remember.
They just are walking through three little sections of a painting
Oh,
as
yeah.
they age. It's
It's fabulous.
Mhm.
It's fabulous. So that's my favorite Irish-based movies.
Very nice list.
Thank
I like
you.
it.
Thank you.
I don't have many Irish films unless you do. Do you have any Irish films that?
Honestly, the first thing that came to my mind was The Departed. I love The Departed. I love every minute of it.
problematic movie nowadays, but yeah.
Actually, Joe and I had an
Yeah.
interesting conversation.
I've seen a lot of readings of it nowadays that Matt Damon's character is closeted, and I don't know. I think
So-
that provides a
The problem ultimately is that Leonardo DiCaprio, who's the good guy, is just dropping the other F-bomb left and right as a legitimate insult against Matt Damon at the end. And you're just like, I understand that Scorsese is setting the place and the tone and the type of person, but there's a legitimate thread of Martin Scorsese films where the main characters, the protagonist, they're not good people. I understand that he's not necessarily needing them to be good people, but he's also not damning them in any way either. And you notice that with Wolf of Wall Street. You notice that with
I don't know. I think he has more contempt for Jordan Belfort than any other character in his filmography.
Except Jordan Belfort himself is in the movie. It ends with this "show me this pen" thing. You see the FBI agent who solved the case, sitting alone by himself on the subway,
it
wondering why he's so
blows.
poor. And it's just, I don't know.
It flows because that's just what happens.
I got
Jordan
confidence.
Belfort's doing great now. He's just an NFT guy.
Yeah. Anyway, I love The Departed though. You're right. It's got oomph.
Is it set in a particular historical period, or
Hey,
is it supposed to
Boston,
just be
2006.
Boston, yeah.
Oh, okay. I've never
Relatively
seen the
current
film.
day.
It's
so
based
I've
on
never-
a Hong Kong film from 2001 or 2, right?
Infernal
Yeah,
Affairs.
that's actually really
Okay.
good. It's an hour and 40 minutes. It's just goes right through. They turn into this 3-hour masterpiece where every character is excellent, like Ray Winstone's character.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I love Ray Winstone.
You're right. It is a kick-ass movie. It's just got a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So the only Irish movie that comes to my mind is In Bruges.
Great film.
I love In Bruges. Anything.
I love when Colin Farrell actually uses his native
He's
accent.
so dreamy.
Did you see him?
I love him.
He just was on Hot Ones. It's the greatest episode of Hot Ones. You know what I'm talking about, that
Yeah,
wings?
yeah, I do know.
He is, I feel like you never want to meet your heroes because you're worried that they might be like a
I
real
want to
jerk.
meet him.
I feel like he would be just the greatest person no
Yeah.
matter what. Watch that episode of Hot Ones with Colin Farrell. He talks about In Bruges. He says that's the movie that, like, if he's in Dublin, will get him a free meal or like
That's
at a bar
funny.
because everyone back home loves him in Bruges.
It's
In
such a
Bruges
funny
is
movie.
such a great dark comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I think, the only dark comedy that I absolutely love.
I'm also a big fan of the director's second film, Seven Psychopaths. with
That
Colin
was so
Farrell.
good
That was
too.
good,
It was just so much. I know both movies were kind of sad, but I don't know. Seven Psychopaths just like achieved this new level of darkness in a comedy that I felt like it hurt my soul watching it, but it was very good.
And I love also watching Brandon Gleeson.
Mm-hmm.
They worked so well together in that movie.
That dude's a gift.
Yeah.
Brandon Gleeson.
Like, I think my favorite scene is actually we use something in the house is, there's the end scene when you see Ray Fiennes on the phone.
Yeah.
And he just says, you're an
You're an inanimate object.
You're an effing inanimate object. And we've used that in the house several times. It's like one of the best bits of the whole movie.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
I really
this
like
is
when
the
he
one.
apologizes to her later on.
Exactly. He's like really nice, but then as soon
It's
as
all
he
within
goes,
like 1 minute in the middle of the movie. Yeah.
He's done a lot of good things. I think Guy Ritchie, I know they're not predominantly Irish films, but Guy Ritchie has this aesthetic that he tends to go in with his movies where it's very like, what was the one where it was like Brad Pitt literally played like an
Snatch.
Irishman?
Snatch,
Snatch,
yeah.
that's what it was. I love
I like that
Snatch, even though it's not Irish based.
Brad Pitt did a killer accent.
He
though.
really did. Who thought he could do
I
that?
think
But
he put in the research for it. so.
well, voice coaches too will help you with that. I think what was it? He did the Sherlock Holmes, and I love the music that he chose for it because it has this
Hans Zimmer.
The fiddle.
Oh.
the fiddle. It gives it kind of like the old. I'm not gonna lie. There's like England, and then there's like the dirty parts of England that I
Yeah.
love seeing during that time period, and then there's like the music that fits with it. It doesn't necessarily. It fits kind of the dirty
Right.
aesthetic, like dirty bar
Yeah.
aesthetic that I really enjoy. I love like Irish like bar music. It's so good.
Yeah.
it just gets you going. So that's all I really have in terms of like other media. I would say there's actually a graphic novel here. There's a manga series that focuses predominantly on Irish mythology that I do enjoy called The Ancient Mage's Bride. If you're ever interested, we do have that collection. It's very good. And it's all set within, like, as I said, the story kind of sets itself in Irish mythology, and it's utterly fantastic. It's so beautiful.
So the director of In Bruges, Martin Mcdonough,
Yeah.
has a brother who's also an accomplished filmmaker called someone else Mcdonough.
Makes sense.
Let's find out what his name
I feel
is.
like Martin Mcdonough is, he's the one who did 3 Billboards, and he's the one who,
Good.
he's clearly the more known brother, and he's made a series of better films. But his brother Mcdonough has made, I think, the best of all their films put together.
John Michael.
John Michael,
Mcdonough.
yeah. And it's called Cavalry, starring Brendan Gleeson. And he
Yeah.
plays a priest in
He's a good
Ireland. And it's just, it's not the kind of movie that you can watch and then, like, go out and have a nice day afterwards. It really hits like a brick. And it's so strong. And it's about this, I don't know, honestly, I feel like I'm not really, it's an R-rated,
Calvary.
mean movie, but it's also probably like the most purely like Christian film I've ever seen, and it's about this priest who like walks the walk in modern times where everyone is just done with it, right? We're all just like beyond, we see so much ugliness in the world, and every single other character represents some kind of trauma in the world.
Oh wow.
And just, you know, he takes so much abuse from them and still is there. It's an absolute, my list of Irish films is pretty long, but like that one is at the top. And
Sounds
one of the
really
greatest soundtracks ever.
I was gonna say, you brought it up the other week.
Yeah. I'm telling you,
I
like,
need to check it out.
it's the most, like, I don't know, it's got the strongest voice of a country, of a time and place, and it keeps Irish cinema, I think, at the top of the chain.
I love a good priest going through it film. The first time I watched First Reformed, I just wasn't the same for like a week.
It actually opens with a confession booth, and you pretty much know right away who the person is, but like the priest, you know, Brendan Gleeson being told he's going to be murdered in a week, and get your things together. And you know, the whole movie is, you know, he's not going to reveal who this person is because that goes against the code. It's amazing. It's hard. It's got just incredible actors in it. Kelly Riley from Yellowstone is his daughter. Littlefinger's in it.
Hey, I was gonna bring him up soon.
Yeah. So other than that, there's this other really
Chris
dark one called The Shadow of Violence. It's also known as Calm with Horses, I think, but in America it's called Shadow of Violence. And it's got Barry Keoghan, if I'm pronouncing his name right.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It's just a beast of an Irish mafia film, and very dark and
It'd be
very,
up your alley, Amanda.
What?
Yeah.
The Irish Mafia film that Ben's talking about.
Other than that, in tradition with our Selkie talk, Song of the Sea is glorious. It's actually going to be tonight's movie, I believe, for Feast of Films.
Very
Oh,
nice.
yeah?
And, yeah.
Oh, cool.
And Ondine, also starring Colin Farrell, and Alicia Bachleda, who's this like unbelievably talented Polish actress who didn't quite catch on too well in the West, but she's great. And it's directed by Neil Jordan, and it's gorgeous. It takes place in like this northern section of Ireland, and a section of it that we're not used to seeing as much. Breathtaking, both about Selkies.
Cool.
I'm done.
I realized the guy who did the Calvary also did the Guard, which I absolutely find incredibly funny as well. I didn't realize that. Kind of a nice little
Yep.
balance there. Really funny.
John Michael Mcdonough.
John Michael McDonald.
I never realized he was his brother.
I'll find out now that he's not.
Well, now that we know his name is in
Paul
his
Anderson,
name.
P.T. Anderson, and Wes Anderson were all brothers.
Oh God,
Yeah.
what a house that would be!
Darn Anderson being a common last name.
No, I just had I don't know. I mostly I wrote down some Irish sayings that I thought were really nice. So like one is, if God sends you down a stony path, may He give you strong shoes, which I thought was nice and very keeping with
Applies to
Irish.
Calvary very well.
Yeah. So, and then I had like fictional Irish characters. Like I don't know if any of us had any favorites. Yeah. So like Thomas O'Malley from the Aristocats. I know he's a cat, but still his name is O'Malley.
Still a character.
O'Malley. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see this.
Then there was Seamus Finnegan from Harry Potter, who is proudly Irish in those books.
He's kind of a jerk, but rightfully a jerk. He's scared, so rightfully so.
Yeah.
And then I had and you're gonna say, well, this is obvious, Angel from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because he's supposed to be have
He's
been born.
Irish?
He's Irish. His
David
actu-
Boreanaz is Irish.
Well, no. The character that the character that he plays is supposed to be Irish. His actual name in the story is supposed to be Liam, and he's supposed to be Irish. He did a questionable Irish accent. People made fun of him for it, but he's supposed to be Irish. Yeah.
It's okay. It can't be as weird as what was the Robin Hood film? Was it the one where he had an accent in the beginning of the movie and it slowly began to
Kevin
fade?
Costner.
Yeah,
the
the
Prince
one
of
where his
Thieves.
accent started to fade
by
throughout the
the
entire
end of the movie. By the end of the movie, he has an American accent, and there's no going back from it.
We try.
Kevin
Everyone
Costner
It's
tries.
so funny.
Going on your quotes thing, I was going to bring up Peaky Blinders because I love Peaky Blinders. There's a Annabelle Wallis plays a bartender in it. Well, she's not really a bartender. No spoilers or anything. But Tommy Shelby starts to fall for her and everything, and they go to Cheers, and she says, he says whiskey, she says Irish, and he says of course. So now I only drink Irish whiskey, by the way. But when he says, do you know any toasts? And she goes, I'm Irish. All I know is toasts. And so she says, may you be in heaven for a full half hour before the devil knows you're dead. And so I say that every time me and my friends go to the bar, and they absolutely hate it now.
Well, I want to go to a bar with you and have you toast that to me.
Yeah. Oh, I will.
And there's also slange.
Yes.
Slanja
Yeah.
is another Irish toast. Also Scottish toast as well. But
Aye.
Oh, speaking of, we can't talk about Irish gangs without talking about Gangs of New York.
And Dead Rabbit's whiskey.
I love Gangs of New
Perfect
York.
combination.
Yes.
Yeah, like I just love the whole opening sequence when the gangs are like getting together, and it's like that is
another
awesome.
Daniel Day-Lewis movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't seen Gangs of New York yet.
A
Major blind spot, but-
wonderful
I just saw it.
actors duel at the beginning between Daniel Day-Lewis and Liam Neeson.
Oh,
Yes.
amazing. But I think about the original plan for that movie. Scorsese wanted to make it like in the 80s as a musical starring The Clash.
Really?
I remember
Yeah.
hearing about that. Yeah.
And I don't know, I just think about that and I'm like, oh my god.
Wow. I didn't know that.
That hits like all of my points.
Oh my god.
I like what he did instead. It's-
I'm sure it's awesome, and I can't wait to sit back
I've
and
only
watch it.
seen bits and pieces of that movie, but Cameron Diaz as an actress kind of like just grates me the wrong way, so it's kind of hard for me to watch movies that she's in.
You know what's interesting about her? She gets bagged on a lot, but she wasn't bad. She was pretty good in Gangs of New York. And there's that other one with
Who?
Ridley
Cameron-
Scott's The Counselor. She got like kind of
Oh, I
bagged
think
on
I
for
saw
being the Angelina Jolie's replacement in that movie, but she's good.
Which
Yeah,
character?
I
Which
think-
person?
I have no
Cameron
quarrel with
Diaz.
Cameron.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she was weirdly miscast in that movie.
Yeah.
But I don't know. She held up.
So okay, so you know what? I don't know if Gangs of New York is still on Netflix or anything, but if I give Gangs of New York another shot, you have to give West Side Story another shot.
Regardless, I'm going to keep going with West Side Story because I need
Okay.
to know the Oscar nominations
Okay.
before I can rag on why they shouldn't be nominated.
And I will argue for it.
Fair enough.
But you might be right.
Yeah.
I'm only 20 minutes into this movie. I don't know. You've ever had that movie where you're like, I can't do this.
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
Just-
sometimes it just hits wrong.
I heard
like,
And it's just, I don't know.
It-
In the Heights, I think, was the best musical I'd seen this year. That other one, Evan Hansen, was like one of the worst things I've ever watched in the entirety of my movie watching life.
I saw a clip of it recently, and it's just like
It's based on a
edited and
book.
choreographed so bafflingly, like, and it's just like, oh god, guys.
I don't think I've ever even heard Evan Hansen.
It's based on a YA novel series.
Is it? I
Yeah.
thought it
Yes,
was
Dear
a
Evan
Broadway
Hansen's a
show.
book.
No, it's based
It's-
on a book about this guy who's very introverted.
Much older than everyone else.
Yeah,
You gotta get that singing range.
yeah, and he basically he breaks his arm one day, and he has this interaction with this. I don't know if he's really supposed to be a bully character, but the guy signs his cast. Spoiler: the guy passes away. His parents come to talk to the counselor. Evan Hansen is brought in because they find some note that he wrote to himself, and the mother notices the cast and that he, like, her son signed his cast. Was like, oh my god, I didn't know he had friends. And because he feels so terrible, he concocts this elaborate friendship that they experienced, which never happened, and the guilt that he feels because he's stringing the parents along, and yeah.
It
He has
seems
friends?
like YA World's Greatest Dad, and yeah, I don't know. World's Greatest Dad's a pretty good movie though.
So it was your Gangs in New York. So we took it somewhere else. Back to you.
No, it was just because I watched Gangs of New York when I was in high school. We went to the theater, this small theater, and I can't recall where it is. It's still around, but I think Pelham. It's the small theater. We went. I don't think my teachers realized it was rated R.
You went with school?
Yeah.
Oh, that rocks.
Wow.
Yeah, it
Man,
was.
New Rochelle High School, point for them.
No, it was Mount Vernon.
Mount Vernon, right, sorry. Yeah.
But thank you. Yes, point for us. And we went to see it, and of course, there's a huge orgy scene.
There is.
I was literally going, oh my god! And my
You know, it's just
teacher.
because the teacher wanted to see that movie.
No, he got on stage and was trying to block out this.
Your tiny body in a big
orgy
screen.
doesn't actually happen. It's post-orgy, where they're all just kind of laying
They're in a
there.
But there's a
brothel.
lot of
No,
nudity in
there's
that
a full-on
movie.
brothel scene.
Yeah, but there's no, like, focus on an orgy. It's just
But
like,
okay,
But there's
my
nudity.
okay. I used the wrong term. They're in a brothel. Basically, the characters decide they're going to go to a brothel. They have some fun there, do brothel-y things, and there's a scene. And it was so funny because my teacher was like, "Close your eyes," and half the kids were saying, "Get off the stage" or whatever. And then during the scene when Cameron Diaz and DiCaprio's character are having sex, this one girl in my class started saying some inappropriate things really loudly during the scene. And I was like, but like the teachers probably wanted to like disappear and sink into the ground. And I'm like, you folks didn't look up what this
Who
is
thought this was a
rated?
good idea?
Okay, but just for, like, clarity, it wasn't hostile. The group of guys didn't decide, hey, we're going to go to what'd you call it?
A
A
brothel.
brothel.
It is a
It was
brothel.
after Daniel Day-Lewis's character is almost assassinated.
He needed the morale boost.
And
I get
they
it.
all go to this place that he owns because it's his, because he basically runs that section of New York.
Discount.
He's healing from a
Discount.
bullet wound. It's just kind of like one of his places, and all these really cool character interactions, and you find out a lot about who they all really are.
It does, but you
There
see
just
that.
happens to be some.
To be fair, information spreads the most in
Exactly,
brothels
but
too.
the key point that Ben is failing to acknowledge is that the scene is in a brothel.
There's lots of tushies.
There's some
yeah.
tushies.
There's a lot of tushies.
Now, Grant, and we were high schoolers. Technically, we were not supposed to be watching this.
I mean,
But
we
yes,
went
you're right. There are a lot of great
consent.
characters.
I've seen Euphoria.
As an adult now.
Yeah.
Probably not on a school trip.
High schoolers are up to a lot.
My
I
high
wasn't.
school showed us Polanski's Macbeth. Okay, they didn't
Oh,
care.
I watched that too. And
But
But usually
brutal.
they send you home with like a parental
No.
consent
And
form
my
for
teacher,
stuff
you know
like
what-
that.
you
That's
know
what they
what
did in
she-
my school.
You know what we did? Because I watched that film. I thought Macbeth, and I know what happens in Macbeth.
know what
A lot goes down. And there was a scene where the son is bathing. And that's the scene where she decided, I kid you not, because the young man is naked. He's being bathed. She took a piece of paper and covered his penis. And I'm like, that's what you're concerned about? Not like the graphic rape, the violence that's
That's
happening.
story.
You're covering it up.
That was right after Polanski's wife was killed.
Yeah,
right?
it
That
was
his next
shortly
movie.
after.
Yeah.
The
I mean, that movie traumatized
Well, that's
me.
the movie to do after your wife dies.
Or I should say, Polanski's wife was rescued by Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
Rescued. Oh goodness.
All
Take it
right.
home.
I'm a big fan of Sing Street.
Nice.
Lovely film. Yeah, you got a great Aidan Gillen in there. I love that guy. Honestly, I have Irish film a big blind spot for me. But
Tom
yeah.
McCarthy
I feel
hasn't
that.
missed yet. Like, I will even Begin Again, which is considered his weak movie, I think is really great. And Once was his, like, kickoff into. So Once, Begin Again, Sing Street, and now he does that Amazon show, like, Love Stories or whatever it is.
Oh, I didn't know he was involved with that.
It's his.
Awesome. Okay. But yeah.
Was it the Modern Love Story? or
Modern
something?
Love, maybe. I think that's
Yeah.
what it's
Yeah.
called. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some Irish actors I like, Saoirse Ronan, of course. I love my boy Colin Farrell. I will roll up to see him in pretty much anything at
One
this
of the
point.
hottest vampires ever.
He's so good as the Penguin.
I haven't seen it, but I saw the makeup and I was
it's
like,
bizarre. You question, it's like, why did they give this to Colin Farrell? He looks and sounds nothing like Colin Farrell, but it works, so.
because he's good at it, maybe.
I heard Paul Dano's Riddler transforms superhero villains.
It's hysterical. I
Yeah.
love the Riddler in that.
Yeah.
I
That
saw the actor. I was like, ooh.
is, I really am on board with it being considered the best Batman movie.
Yeah.
Like,
There's an amazing scene toward the end where Riddler's talking to his Instagram followers and he's like, "Hey guys, you don't know how much this community has meant for me recently.
That's
in
so
the past
modern, way to
weeks
go.
and months.
He has an Instagram account?
Yeah.
It goes. This
If
movie
you're
goes
gonna be a
places that
villain,
are-
you should have an Insta and a TikTok.
What's
And a
crazy
Twitter.
too is that movie was made way before all these things happened in our. Like that was a movie that was supposed to come out, like in March 2020
Oh yeah.
at first, and yeah, so there was a lot of things that were already finished that became way more prescient, like timely, since before, whatever.
Is this the Batman movie that
Yeah.
just came out?
Yeah, Matt Reeves has
Another
got the
Batman
juice.
movie. Another Batman. Yeah.
I know.
I feel you.
Thank you.
I'm already tired.
I'm sorry.
But still.
Look, Jim Carrey's Riddler will be the Riddler.
I'm one of
You
those
can't
people.
say that unless you watch this Batman.
You know,
I have to
have-
watch West Side Story.
All about Frank Gorshin.
I have the opinion that
You're gonna
I don't
throw
think
that
any
in my
Batman is
face
better
right
than
there,
others. I think they
Ben?
all have a different opinion and a view of it, and they all do really well with it.
Honestly, that's kind of my take on it.
Like Dark Knight, I enjoy because I really like the psychological side of Batman, the self-destructive, suicidal.
You'll
kind
love this one.
Are those,
I like
Yeah.
those
are those
kind of
actually
views.
present in the comics? Because I don't
Yes.
know too much
Yes.
about Batman or... Okay.
Yes, especially in Arkham Asylum, the one that the
Okay.
game is based on. You should, if you are a fan of Batman, that is one of the ones I highly recommend.
Yeah.
Just because it makes a good point of the duality of who the Joker and the Batman is. Is that the Joker? He basically invades Arkham.
Mm-hmm.
He takes over Arkham,
This
and
ended
he has
with-
to basically confront everybody he's ever put in Arkham.
Oh,
And
okay.
they all kind of represent a part of Batman, because if you think about a kid who's been traumatized, never sought help for it, instead decided to dress up as a bat and spend millions of dollars on all these things, gallivanting around the city, breaking the law. It's like, it's not really a healthy way, so the Joker at the end is like, you belong here just as much as the rest of us.
Oh, that sounds really interesting.
And so it's a fantastic
Grant
graphic
Morrison, who's just fantastic.
Oh, okay.
And it really gets into like a lot of cool imagery and symbology.
Yeah, the
I'm a
artwork
fan
is
of
very
that one.
unconventional, very dirty and rough, paint
Oh,
splattery looking, very
Cool.
interesting.
But yeah, this ended with a way I think they could go into a Serious House adaptation for the sequel. So
I'm excited
I'd be
to see the
very
Riddler
interested in
done.
that. But yeah, so I mean, I guess happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
I hope
Happy
you
St.
enjoyed the aliens and Batman and all the other things that make this holiday
I'd like
so
to shout out
special.
to all the other Irish actors and or redhead actors. I'm sorry, the Weasley twins aren't real redheads, and it really disappoints and upsets me, but yes, call out to all the redheaded actors out there.